Welcome to your favorite news network, the Dusty News Network. You know where Negro news comes first, and I'm so excited to be your host today. Breaking news. You know, guys, I was trying to let the whole situation with Myron Gaines go. Recently, he has broken up with his ex-girlfriend, Angie. She's a Venezuelan young lady, but, you know, he was going around really claiming her. He was in love. He was kissing on her and all kind of stuff. I mean, it was like a long relationship for about 3 years. And now we understand that Angie has left Myron for a guy who rollerblades. Myron and Fresh want to paint this as if they've been broken up for a long time.
Breaking news. Imagine spending years building money, status, and fame only to lose your girl to a guy with rollerblades. Sounds insane, right? Well, today on the Dusty News Network, we're exposing the lies, the cover-ups, and the receipts that Fresh and Fit don't want you to see. Trust me, once you hear this story, you won't be able to click away.
As you can see there, you know, Fresh is saying, you mean Angie left you, who has all this money, all this stuff, for a dude that rollerblades? Nah. That can't even be true, right? And again, you see Myron over there looking all geeky and stuff, whatever. It would hurt his image if you knew that Myron got dumped for a regular guy. And that's why Myron is out here saying,
did Angie really walk away from Myron Gaines, wealthy, accomplished, and known for his flashy lifestyle, for some random guy who rollerblades? At first glance, it sounds almost too ridiculous to believe. People naturally assume a man with money, status, and a platform like Myron's wouldn't get left for someone so ordinary. And that's exactly what made Fresh's comment so sharp. You mean to tell me Angie left you, a man with money and status, for a dude on skates? That one line carried the disbelief of everyone watching. The reason this moment hit so hard is because of what it implied. For someone like Myron, whose entire brand is built on status, control, and presenting himself as the guy women should want, the idea that his girl chose someone with rollerblades over his luxury lifestyle is the ultimate contradiction, and the irony is brutal. It wasn't the private jets, the Lambos, or the status that won Angie's attention elsewhere. It was a regular guy who happened to be present, fun, and offering her something different. Now, the way Myron responded to this accusation only made things worse. He got nervous. His body language shifted. His words stumbled out in that awkward, defensive tone. Instead of owning the situation, he doubled down and tried to rewrite history, claiming that he and Angie had been done for most of the year anyway. To him, this probably seemed like the safest way to protect his image, distance himself from her, and spin the story as if he had already moved on. But the problem is, receipts always exist, and when the receipts don't match your words, the internet isn't going to let it slide. This is where the timeline becomes so important. May 26th is the date that changes everything. On that day, Angie and Myron were still visibly together. We're not talking about speculation or rumors, talking about actual footage. In those clips, you can see them side by side, spending time together. On top of that, during a podcast, Myron went out of his way to defend Angie publicly, telling other women directly, "My girl looks better than you." Those aren't the words of a man who's been single for months. Those are the words of someone still very much attached, still claiming her, still emotionally invested. So let's put this under the microscope. May 19th versus May 26th. A week separates these dates, but the difference is massive. On May 19th, Angie was spotted with another guy at Universal Studios, enjoying boat rides, laughing, clearly not acting like someone who was unavailable. And that guy, he wasn't a celebrity. He wasn't dripping in wealth or flaunting status. He was just a rollerblader, someone who shared her time and gave her attention. By the 26th, Angie was right back in the Fresh and Fit studio, with Myron defending her publicly. This means Myron's entire claim that they hadn't been together for most of the year completely collapses. The timeline proves otherwise. And here's why this stings so much for Myron. His entire platform preaches about women choosing high-value men. He constantly reminds his audience that status, money, and discipline put you in a position where women don't leave you for lesser guys. Yet, here's the contradiction: while he's building his brand on that narrative, Angie was stepping out with someone the internet would immediately label as lesser. And not just stepping out, she was enjoying herself enough that the receipts exposed the reality. This raises a bigger point. One that goes beyond just Myron and Angie. Relationships, at their core, aren't purely transactional. Yes, money, status, and power can open doors. They can attract attention. But they don't guarantee loyalty. What really matters in the day-to-day is connection, presence, and effort. If a partner feels neglected, ignored, or constantly put on the back burner, it doesn't matter how much money is on the table sooner or later. Someone else who provides attention and emotional availability will look more appealing, and that's what this situation highlights so clearly. It also exposes the fragility of image in the internet era. Myron's denial wasn't just about Angie, it was about preserving a persona. Admitting that his girl left him for a rollerblader would clash with the image of control and authority he's worked so hard to create. That's why he had to insist they weren't really together. It wasn't about truth, it was about branding. But the thing about branding in 2025 is that it only works if it can withstand scrutiny. And when your audience has timestamps, clips, and receipts, trying to rewrite the story only deepens the embarrassment. Let's think about the psychology here for a second. Why do people lie about timelines? Because timelines are hard evidence. You can argue about feelings, perspectives, or interpretations, but a date on a photo or a video clip doesn't change. When May 26th shows Angie still in Myron's life, it discredits his entire claim of separation. And that's why the internet latched on so hard. It wasn't just about Angie leaving, it was about the blatant contradiction between his words and reality. And for the audience watching all this unfold, there's almost a sense of poetic justice. Myron has built a reputation for calling out others, holding women accountable, and constantly painting himself as the example of what men should aspire to be. So when he got caught in a situation that undermined everything he preached, people felt justified in clowning him. They weren't just laughing at the situation, they were laughing at the hypocrisy. Now, let's circle back to Fresh's reaction. Fresh didn't just ask the question casually, he emphasized it, leaned into the disbelief, and basically spoke on behalf of everyone who couldn't wrap their head around the idea. That moment crystallized the absurdity of it all. Fresh's comment became the voice of the audience, the voice that said, "Wait, you're supposed to be the high-value guy. How could this happen?" And that's why the clip spread so fast. The truth is, this situation is a reminder that no matter how successful or wealthy someone appears, relationships will always come down to human needs, attention, affection, presence. If those aren't met, someone else can, and often will, step in. Angie's situation with the rollerblader is proof of that, and Myron's desperate attempt to cover it up only magnified the embarrassment. So, let's break it down one last time, just to be clear. May 19th, Angie is with another guy at Universal Studios. May 26th, Angie is back with Myron, who is still publicly claiming her as his girlfriend. That's 1 week apart. 1 week that completely shatters Myron's claim that they had been done for months. The evidence speaks louder than any denial. And when the evidence is that clear, no amount of spinning or rebranding can save you. At the end of the day, this isn't just about one relationship, it's about the lesson underneath it. Money and status may attract, but they don't retain. Image may impress, but it doesn't fulfill. And no matter how much someone insists otherwise, the truth always finds its way out, especially when the internet has the receipts to back it up. So yes, it may sound unbelievable that Angie left Myron for a rollerblader, but when you look closely, it's not about the rollerblades at all. It's about attention, connection, and the reality that sometimes the ordinary guy wins where the high-value man fails.
Full clip, you saw dates, you saw stream times, you also heard him defending her in the podcast. You heard it. He's telling chicks, my girl look better than you, right? That's May 26th. Now, the question is this. Is May 19th before the 26th or after 26th? Okay, so May 19th is before the 26th, right? Because on May 26th, officially, they were still together. Check this.
On May 19th, Angie was spotted with another guy. To set the scene, she and Myron had been together in New York, but then she left to attend a rollerblading event. That's where things turned. On the 19th, she was seen with this new man. Moments together, even out on a boat ride at Universal Studios. This wasn't just a casual hangout. This was the guy she was secretly seeing while still tied to Myron. Fast forward a week later, May 26th. After spending time away with this other man, Angie was back in the fresh and fit studio, and there was Myron, still defending her, still calling her his girl on air. The reality: he didn't realize he had already been replaced. Now here's the hard truth. Money and status don't shield anyone from betrayal. Some men convince themselves their wealth and influence make them untouchable, but relationships don't work that way. If you're constantly busy, streaming, working, or unavailable, your partner may look for connection elsewhere, and when someone gives them that attention, they often give it right back, sometimes in ways that sting. The real issue isn't just Angie stepping out, it's the cover-up. Instead of admitting he took a loss, Myron and even Fresh chose to spin the story, but the internet has receipts, and their audience pays close attention. Timestamps don't lie. Viewers see the contradictions. And every attempt to rewrite the timeline only makes the deception look worse. Here's what would have earned more respect: honesty. If Myron had said, "Yeah, I took an L, it happens," most men would understand. Losses are part of life. But by denying the obvious, he opened himself up to ridicule, especially when the guy Angie chose was a rollerblader rocking LED wheels, someone without the money, status, or clout. But here's the lesson: material success doesn't guarantee loyalty. Sometimes shared culture, simple respect, and genuine time spent together matter more. That's something Myron overlooked, and it's why the whole situation unraveled so publicly.
With another guy. Now, if you guys didn't realize what happened, Myron and Angie were in New York City together. Angie went away to a rollerblade tournament, all right? This was on May the 19th. That's them in the little boat or whatever at Universal Studios. Her and her other guy. This is the dude that she was cheating on Myron with. But on May 26th, after she went and got her cheeks clapped out in Orlando, she's back in the Fresh and Fit studio while he's defending her, calling her his girl. Bruh, you got played. Woo! The sad part about getting played is when you have money and when you have a claim, you don't want nobody to know that regular dudes is taking your chick. But as a dude that's had this happen to me a few times, it happens. I've talked about it. Just because you got money, just because you got a little bit of fame, that don't mean that a regular guy can't get your girl. It happens all the time. Because if you are always working or streaming, and this is something I have a problem with, I'm always busy, I'm always tied up, then women are not gonna sit around and wait for your ass. They're gonna go where whoever that they like is paying them some attention, and once the person is paying them the attention, they're gonna pay that attention back in clap sessions. They're not gonna sit around and just wait for your ass. It's just like you. Would you sit around and wait for a woman who ain't paying you no attention or who busy and tied up? Of course not. You're gonna go with the person that's paying you some attention. But then you come out to your audience and then you lie like a pathological liar. Not only did you lie, Fresh lied. You guys both lied, try to cover this shit up, and it was nothing to cover up because the lady just left you. Now she's nice enough not to come out and just bust your ass out like the fraud that you guys are, but it's okay because I'm here to bust your ass out like the fraud you guys are. And you guys got to understand, you're so famous and you're so known that people have timestamps. They watch you guys religiously. So whenever you're lying and you want to come out and spin the narrative, people gonna always have receipts. How many times do Fresh and Fit gotta get caught in blatant lies? Just tell the dudes, man, I took an L. I took an L. Most dudes would respect that. Like, okay, he took an L, it's okay.
Can someone help me make sense of this? For the past 7 years, I've been consistently receiving food stamps without any major issues. But today, I opened a letter that completely threw me off. It says I now have to complete at least 15 hours of community service each week if I want to keep receiving my benefits. That means I'd have to carve time out of my daily routine. Time I honestly don't have just to do community service in exchange for food assistance. And here's the part that really frustrates me. I'm already receiving the maximum benefit, which is $2,000 a month. But that amount only looks big because I'm caring for 3 kids. It's not like it's extra money sitting around. Every dollar goes toward feeding them. So here's the question. If I can't even land a stable job right now, how exactly am I supposed to show up for mandatory community service every week? The system is basically telling me, do this or lose your benefits. And the threat is real. If I don't meet this new requirement, I could actually lose the food stamps that keep my kids fed. Are they serious with this?
This lady had the unmitigated gall to say, they want me to go do community service for 15 hours a week, take time out of my busy schedule, or take time out of my schedule? You ain't got no damn schedule. You have kids, right? I mean, I get it, but they're probably gonna be in school. So you want to just take the taxpayers' money, do absolutely nothing, and you got 3 kids. So where is your baby daddy at? All you've been doing is getting clapped up the whole entire time, doing nothing. That's crazy. And you know what? It's the entitlement that so many people have. Like, I just don't get it. How entitled are you? Why don't you get your ass up and go to the community service? Then you somehow you can't get a job. Well, obviously you ain't trying. Like, this just makes me mad, man. As hard as I have to work and so many other Americans have to work, and then your ass get there and doing nothing, getting $2,000 in food stamps. And like, I think like a carton of eggs, somebody said in California is like $12. That's crazy, insane work. You should.
My mama used to tell me something wild. If a man runs through women back to back to back, eventually he's going to turn his attention to men. At first, I thought she was exaggerating, but then I'd look at some of my homeboys bragging about being in the triple digits. Triple digits? Like, how do you even find that many women to sleep with? That's when my mama's theory started sounding less like a joke and more like a warning. She explained it like this. It's kind of like drugs. If you smoke weed constantly, after a while it doesn't hit the same, so people start chasing a stronger high. According to her, the same thing happens with sex. A man can only cycle through so many women before it loses its spark. And once he gets bored, he starts looking for something different. In her words, that's when some of these guys end up turning to other men. Now, do I fully believe this? I don't know. But if you pay attention, especially in the entertainment industry, you'll notice patterns. Look at the rumors about people like Diddy or Johnny Gill. When you've had hundreds of women, maybe even thousands, what's left? I'm not saying it's always true, but cases like that make you wonder if my mama was onto something. Anyway, today's show gave us plenty to talk about. We had Myron, still fumbling and lying about Angie. We had the lady upset about being forced to do community service just to keep her food stamps. And we had the young woman boldly claiming that too many hookups mean a man secretly likes men. That's quite a lineup. So who gets the Dusty Award of the day? Cue the Jeopardy music and roll the drum. And the winner is Myron. No surprise there. This man lies so much he might as well be crowned not the Lion King, but the Lion King. Every time he opens his mouth, it's another fabrication, another attempt to spin a story. That's why the dust falls on him tonight. And that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell, and I'll catch you next time on the Destiny Network.